welcome. This is Tony. We are going to do a nice yoga flow that does some shoulder and chest opening. Can't wait. I'm already starting because I desperately need that. So we're going to start in a seated position. So just cross your legs on your mat, whatever is comfortable to you. I like doing just a simple cross-legged position or sukhasana, easy pose. And I'm going to start with my hands on top of my legs. And I'm going to close my eyes. And I'm sitting nice and tall. And the way I'm sitting tall is by allowing my sitting bones to root down and then finding a little bit of strength, a little contraction in my muscles in my core. And that allows me just to draw the crown of my head up a little bit higher, really elongate in my spine as I just allow my shoulders to melt down. Now I'll take some nice deep breaths, sending the breath all the way into the belly, filling up your lungs. I've got my hands on my legs as kind of a grounding gesture. As I root down and I ground down, that allows me space to draw up through the crown of my head. So I've got these opposing actions happening, just to really find some length and openness by grounding down first. And take another breath here. And you can keep your eyes closed if you'd like, otherwise just kind of blink them open. And then we're going to just do a little bit of circles with our torso. So go one direction to begin, just moving the torso around, getting some movement in your spine. If you find a good spot, maybe linger for a little bit longer in that spot. And we'll go one more time this direction and pause at center. Go a little taller again, and let's go the other way. Just circling the torso around, finding that nice movement here. And then pausing again at center. And I'm going to take my hands and just interlace them behind my back and draw my knuckles down and lift my heart and gaze up, up, opening through my chest. And then release down. Let's take some shoulder rolls, drawing your shoulders up and back. Just really exaggerating it, because when you find that extreme lift, then you can really find that nice release. You can really find the opposite there. So just a couple more shoulder rolls. Last one. Then take your hands and release them again, but this time in front of your body. And just draw your knuckles forward and just drop your head forward. Just rounding out the upper back. And then soften up that. Good, all right, let's find a little bit more movement. So from here, we're gonna come to tabletop. So you'll cross your ankles, you take your knees right underneath your hips and your hands right underneath your shoulders. And then just find a nice long spine here. Deep breath in, deep breath out. One more time, big breath in and out. Good, now add some movement, whatever feels good for you. You might do cat-cow, rounding through the spine and then broadening through the chest. Or I'm going to kind of gaze toward one hip and then the other. And that's what is calling to me today. Just getting nice extension in the side of my body. So I'm trying to, when I look one way, I reach my hips that way. And then I feel the stretch in the opposite side body of where I'm looking. I'll go one more. Even out if you need to. And then find yourself back in center at tabletop. And then from here, coming into downward facing dog. So I'm going to tuck my toes, lift my hips up high, and make my way into this pose by really pressing down into the mat, and then lengthening my tailbone up toward the ceiling, and my heels down toward the ground. And I'm going to just kind of shake my neck out. So I'm shaking my head, yes, and now I'm going to shake it side to side, no, and yes again, and no again. And then from there, let's walk ourselves feet and hands toward each other. So I'm coming about mid-mat here. And then I'm going to take my feet hip-width distance and melt your torso down, including your head. A lot of times you want to hang on to the tension in the neck. Just let the head drop. Let it go. And just allow your body to be heavy for a second. You can let your arms just hang for a moment. Just feel that nice release. Any tension just rolling down the spine, off the crown of the head. And then from there, take your hands and interlace them at your low back. And then draw your knuckles forward, gaze behind you as you just melt your chest toward your thighs. And then releasing your knuckles toward your sacrum and then your hands down toward your mat. And we'll toe heel our feet together. And from there, halfway lift, nice and long spine, flat back, hands to your shins. And then exhale, fold down. Good, and let's roll all the way up. Stacking one vertebra on top of each other. And then reach your arms up high for Urdhva Tadasana. Pinky spiraled in slightly, shoulders drawn down. Core is tight and strong. And your feet are just rooted down on the mat, feeling all four corners of the feet. We'll take a deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold, melt down. Good, now while you're here, take your hands and interlace them at the low back again. Draw your knuckles forward slightly and then tuck your chin to your chest and start to roll up one vertebra at a time, keeping the inner thighs spiraling toward the back of the room, and then knuckles draw down, gaze comes up. One more breath. And then from here, step your feet about as wide as your mat. And then draw your knuckles down again, lift the heart up. And then let's start to fold with a nice flat back down, pulling the belly button toward the spine as you fold. And finding your way into narrow prasarita. So the knuckles draw forward, the head is heavy. And again, the feet are about as wide as the mat, so they're parallel to one another, so the toes are pointing toward the front of the mat. And you're trying to keep a slight bend in the elbows here. You don't want to hyperextend. One more breath. And then soften the knuckles down to the sacrum, release the hands down to the mat, and then enjoy this narrow prasarita fold for a moment. Breathe in deeply. And breathe out. And one more time, breath in. And breath out. Good, now from there, let's step our feet together. I'm just going to toe heel mine together and then take a halfway lift, nice long spine. Exhale, melt down. Inhale, let's rise up, Urdhva Tadasana. Arms come up overhead. And then here I'm going to take my hands to my heart just as a transition, and then my hands to my low back, fingers pointing down. And I'm going to press down just slightly, just kind of guiding the flesh of my glutes downward as I send my hips forward and reach my heart up. Nice supported back bend. And then inhale, lift back up. Take your hands back to your heart. And then deep breath in. Exhale, forward fold, hands through the heart center, down toward the mat, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back into downward facing dog. Hey, deep breath in here. Deep breath out. Good, deep breath in. Deep breath out. Now from here, right leg comes up high. And then you're going to take your knee towards your right tricep and then step your foot on the outside of your right hand. So that foot is kind of on the edge of the mat, and then you have your toes pointed at an angle. We're just in a runner's lunge here. And so I might crawl my foot forward. I'm going to feel out my body today. I want a little more room to really play with feeling that stretch in my left hip flexors. And so I'm going to just kind of hang here for a second as I lean into it. And then from there, I might come down to my forearms, or I might stay lifted. So now I'm feeling more and my right hip. So it just depends. You might feel that already on your hands. I just happen to feel a little bit stretchy today, more flexible today. So I'm feeling that the forearms feel good, but that doesn't always have to be where you go. One more breath here. And then I'm going to rise up to my palms, step back, downward facing dog. Then left leg comes up high. And then I'm going to take my left knee toward my left tricep and step my foot on the outside of my left hand. And same thing here. So I might adjust depending on the kind of stretch I want in my right hip flexor, and I'm feeling that, feels good. Now I'm going to drop down to my forearms, but you might stay lifted again here on your hands. And just breathe into the left hip now. Finding that awesome release. Using the breath to help guide you through that. And then I'm going to rise up, come to your palms, step back, downward facing dog. Okay, deep breath in. Deep breath out. One more time, big breath in. And big breath out. Good, now take your right leg high again. This time, take the right knee toward the right wrist. Find your way into half pigeon. So we're just going to get a nice stretch on the outer side of the hip. I'm going to come pretty straight up and down, where I really kind of can be buoyant and heavy here on my hips, so I can find some nice evenness throughout my hips where I'm not leaning to one side or the other. And then I can stay lifted here, or maybe I fold down, dropping to my forearms, maybe all the way down to my chest. And breathe into it. So this is a place where you really need to insert your breath in order to kind of be present in the pose, because this one can bring up a lot of emotion, and it can cause you, you might want to get out of it quicker, just because your hip can often be pretty tight for most bodies. So I encourage you to do your best to just breathe through it and breathe intentionally, sending your breath into the right hip so that you're feeling this pose. And one more breath. If you've dropped down to your forearms, rise back to your palms, tuck your back toes, and then let's come into a high plank. So just hold here. So we're keeping a nice long spine, we're keeping level through the hips, so the hips aren't coming up too high, they're not coming down too low. And I'm really actively pressing the mat away from me to really kind of draw my, really engage my muscles. And I'm going to hold one more breath in, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Okay, now from here, left leg comes up high, and then left knee, left wrist, finding your half pigeon on this side. Releasing to the top of the back foot, coming up nice and tall, really extending up through the crown of the head, letting the hips be heavy, and then so you're kind of doing that counter action where you're grounding down through something. Like for me, my hip's not grounded down. I've got some space between my mat and my hips. Some bodies can touch the mat with their hips, but I'm thinking even though my hips aren't touching the mat, I'm really letting them pull down as I reach the crown of the head up. So that requires some core engagement. Now maybe I fold again, maybe I stay lifted. Either way, I'm going to be present because I'm going to focus here on my breath and send it right into my left hip. And do my best to really feel this pose. And when sensation happens, when something maybe a little uncomfortable happens, what do? Do you run away from it? Do you avoid it? Or do you lean into it? And so as long as you don't feel pain and sensation are different things. You might feel a little uncomfortable, but you don't want to feel pain. So if that's happening, you got to adjust and come out. But if it's just not your favorite thing to hold this, I invite you to really embrace that feeling right now and stick with it. So let's try one more breath here. And out. Good, now slowly come back to your palms if you've released down, and then tuck your back toes and the right foot, and let your left foot meet the right for high plank. Good, now let's add on. Take a deep breath in, deep breath out. Now think about that extension where you're reaching your heels back, your feet back, and then drawing the crown of the head forward. So really engaging the core here. Now from here, let's come through chaturanga. So you might hinge forward slightly, lower down to 90 degrees with the elbows or a little bit more, and then open up the chest and upward facing dog, pulling the heart through as you're on the tops of your feet. And then low belly engages, lift your hips high, downward facing dog. And then deep breath in, deep breath out. One more breath, deep breath in, let it out. Now right leg comes up high, whoops, there's my wall, and then knee toward the nose, step it through, your foot between your hands for low lunge. Now from here, I am going to find a little bit wider stance, and then I'm gonna take my back heel down towards the mat so that my left toes are gonna be kind of at an angle. So I'm gonna come up, warrior one, lifting nice and tall, and once I get into it, I'm going to take my hands to my heart and then to my hips. And what I want to try to aim for is feeling that left hip drawing forward. And the way I do that is pressing out the back edge of my left foot. And I'm going to press into that knife edge of the left foot and send my left hip forward as I draw my right hip back. Then I'm going to commit to this lunge. Ooh, that's intense. Now arms reach back up high. Deep breath in, deep breath out. Good, deep breath in. Hands to the heart. Now take your hands to your low back and draw your knuckles down. Lift your heart and gaze up. And one more breath. And then from here, I'm shifting into warrior two. So I'm going to straighten my legs for a second, shift my feet so that my front foot heel is about in line with my back foot's arch. I'm going to keep my hands interlaced in my warrior two. So I'm drawing my knuckles down and I'm trying to keep a nice 90-degree bend in my front knee. I don't want my knee to pass my ankle, but I want to try to aim for 90 degrees or behind the knee, or sorry, the knee behind the heel is what I mean to say. So I'm going to draw my knuckles down a little bit more, one more breath in, and then release the knuckles, windmill the hands down, step back, chaturanga dandasana, nice and slow. Inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, downward facing dog. Good, now this side, left leg comes high, knee draws forward, step it between the hands, and then take your back heel down, your toes are at an angle. And then from here, I'm gonna lift up, finding my warrior two. I'm gonna take my hands right away to my hips here, and then use my hands just to really feel that intentional energy. So my hands aren't doing anything but touching my hips, so I can really feel where they're at. And so right now I can tell my right hip is farther back than my left hip. I want to try to level them out. So I'm going to press into that back edge of my back foot and send that right hip forward, get into my lunge, then take my hands to my low back, interlace my fingers, reach your heart up. Lots of strength in the legs for this. And then we're going to open up into warrior two with the hands staying interlaced. And so similarly, in warrior two, I keep my energy out the back edge of my back foot. And that is going to allow this nice long line of energy up that back leg. So it's nice and strong. So I've got my knuckles pulling down, my heart lift. And then release the hands, wimble the hands down. Step back, chaturanga dandasana. Lower down, inhale, upward facing dog, and exhale, pull it back, downward facing dog. Okay, let's add on to that. One more breath in, and breath out. Right leg sweeps up high, exhale, step your foot between your hands, set yourself up for warrior one. Inhale, lift up, arms reach up here, now take your hands to your heart, and then behind you, interlace your fingers here, knuckles draw down, heart lifts, gaze lifts, and then humble warrior. Drop your right shoulder on the inside of your front knee. And let the knuckles fall down as you press nice and strong into the back edge of the back foot. Good, now from here, we're going to slowly draw ourselves up and then shift opening into warrior two. Okay, now draw the knuckles down, lift the heart. Deep breath in. Exhale, lean forward for extended side angle with the hands interlaced. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Lean back. Notice how your core engages to help you here. Do it again. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, reverse warrior. Nice full breaths. Good, and come back to center. Draw the knuckles down, lift the heart, gaze up. And then release the hands, windmill the arms down. Step back, Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, down dog. Left leg high. Exhale, step your foot between your hands. Low lunge. Set up for warrior one. Inhale, rise up. Arms reach high. Exhale, hands to the heart. And then release the hands to the low back. Knuckles draw down. Gaze lifts, heart lifts. And then humble warrior. Drop the chest. Let the knuckles come forward. Press it into that back foot. Keep that front knee bent. And then inhale, rise up. Okay, now let's shift the legs around. Warrior two with the hands interlace. Deep breath in, lift the heart. Exhale, extended side angle, leaning into it. Inhale, reverse, warrior. Keep that bend in that front knee. Exhale, extended side angle. Inhale, reverse. And then come back to center, knuckles down, heart and gaze lifts. And this time, straighten that front leg. Spin your toes so that they're parallel with your back toes. And let's keep the hands interlaced and slowly come down, Prasarita. The knuckles fall forward for a moment. And then soften your hands down at your sacrum. Release the arms. Woo, that felt good. And come into your Prasarita. So here you're just going to either let gravity kind of pull you into it, or you kind of plant your hands down and pull your torso down more. Okay, a couple more breaths. And then inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, spin to the top of the mat and step your foot back. Find yourself in your high plank. And this time, let's lower to the belly. So 5 counts, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, tops of the feet down on the mat. Take your hands right underneath your shoulders. Find a little baby cobra. Press the tops of the feet into the mat. Press down through your pubic bone. And then lift your chest, gazing down and forward. And I can either lift my hands just slightly or just keep them on the mat, but don't put any weight into them. One more breath. And then release left ear to the mat. Arms can come by your sides. Let your heels just fall out. And breathe. Just a nice, soothing, deep breath. Now I'm going to take our chin here to the mat. Interlace your hands at your low back. Press your knuckles back. Lift your chest up for locust. The variation with the arms. Maybe you lift the legs. Maybe you keep them down. And breathe. So it's easy to want to hold the breath here. I'm going to keep the breath moving. Okay, one more time. Breathe. Nice and deep. And then slowly lower down. This time right ear to the mat. Arms by your sides. Now your option is to bend your knees so your feet are facing the ceiling or the sky depending on where you're practicing, and you're going to just drop your heels right and left, just windshield wipering the legs. Nice. Should feel really good in the low back here. And then back to center, release the feet down. And then chin to center. Press yourself up into a tabletop position as a transition, and we'll come into child's pose. So just drop the hips back, forehead down, and take a deep breath in and out. One more time, inhale and exhale. Now draw up into tabletop. And then left arm sweeps open to the side and then threads underneath the right arm for thread the needle. And then I'm going to take my right hand and just draw it over toward my left hip for a half bind. You can always keep your hand where it was. I'm just getting a nice stretch on my left shoulder here. One more breath. I'll unwind that half bind, pressing my right hand down to lift my torso up, and then I'm going to lift my left arm back up to the side before I plant it down on the mat. Then right arm sweeps up and open as I gaze toward my hand, thread the needle, right arm comes under, right cheek down, and then maybe you take that half bind so left hand comes toward the right hip. So are you breathing? One more breath. And release your half bind. Press your left hand down, reach your right arm out to the side, take the gaze to follow, and then release the hand back down. Now cross your ankles, come to a seat. And then from here, a couple shoulder rolls back. Maybe shake out the neck, some neck rolls, or head rolls. And then from there, we're gonna lay down on our back. So plop down, slowly go down, engage your core, whatever works for you. I'm gonna reach toward my feet and just slowly come down, and eventually all the way down on the mat. And then from there, I'm gonna go right into a twist. So I'm going to pull my knees into my chest first, then extend the left leg long, keep the right knee pulled in. In fact, hug it toward the right side of your body a little more, and then cross it over. And extend that right arm long, the palm down, and get a nice stretch. And bringing out your spine. And one more breath. And slowly come back to center. Hug the knees in, release the right leg long, pull the left knee in toward the left side of your body, and then cross it over. And gaze over toward your left hand. Nice, smooth breath. Hard to breathe as deeply into it in a twist, but breathe the depth that your body allows you in this pose. The full depth. And one more breath. And then knees come back to center, hug them in tight to your chest. Nice big squeeze, maybe even rounding your upper back, taking your forehead toward your knees. Really squeezing all your muscles and then completely softening them, letting any tension, any contraction of the muscles go, and just becoming super heavy in Shavasana. So laying down on your mat. Allow your head to be heavy, and then allow that heaviness to just kind of float its way all the way down your body until you feel as though your mat is just hugging you into it. And just be still. Allow the breath to move through your body and just observe it. Just be aware of it. this is feeling good right now. If you're ready to come out, just bring some gentle movement back into your body, rolling out your wrists and your ankles, feeling your fingers and your toes. And then when you're ready, I like to take a big stretch first. I'm going to reach my hands behind me and press my toes forward. Get nice and long. And then from there, roll onto one side of your body. Just take a breath in and breath out. And one more breath in and breath out. And then press yourself up. Find a seated position, just like we began class. Sit tall again. Deep breath in and out. A couple more shoulder rolls, just exaggerating that shoulders up and back and down. And then pause and take your hands to your heart and then to your third eye center. The light in me honors the light within each of you. Namaste. Thanks for joining me today. Take care.